children on this is part of our webinar series on media response to crises. We are privileged to have two very distinguished speakers today. So without taking much of your time, I'll straightway go to our Honorable Press Club President, Shri Srinivas Shur, to kindly welcome the guests.
Thank you, Dr. Umashankar Pandey. Welcome to all the distinguished participants and all the distinguished all the distinguished resource persons who are going to address us, and all the distinguished participants who have joined us. Yes, I do not have much to say. Only thing that it is not only that my privilege and honor, but from a very personal note, I would say that I have come here, this platform today, to personally greet and extend a warm welcome to both the distinguished speakers of the day. Professor Ananya Chakraborti, we know that she has been a very renowned journalist. During her career as journalism, she has done a lot of social activism, which she continued afterwards also. She is an established professor of journalism and headed the St. Xavier's College, Calcutta Journalism Department. And she is a member of IOTA, that is the International Organization of Women in Television. The introduction will be given by Dr. Pandey. This I said that I have been not with the Women International Organization of Women in Television directly, but in all other capacities. I was fortunate to be a co-worker with her. With her commitment to the cause for child development and her expertise being used as the chairperson of the SCPCR, we have seen lot of ground level activities which has come up through the SCPCR. She is the first president of the SCPCR. We know that. I personally wanted to. I personally wanted to welcome her as a co-worker and salute her commitment to this cause. And we are going to hear from her only the area in which she is going to address. She is extremely busy, we know, and she's holding a very, very important position, which is a government position, as well as she is associated with many other social organizations. So we know her busy schedule. And in spite of that, again, for the commitment of a cause, she has come. She has done a lot of, ethical reporting through the SCPCR. She has developed an ethical guidebook also, which we have circulated among the members of the press club. So welcome, ma'am, and welcome, Ananya. The way we would like to mention it, whichever way. She's, as I said, she's holding a very important formal position in the government, so I'll have to address in that. And as a co-worker, I'll obviously call her by first name, and in both capacities, welcome, and we salute and we appreciate your involvement, and we think that your association, your involvement, your patronage to this project, we are going to get a success. Shottoda, Mr. Shotto Gopal De, I welcome you, sir. We have known each other for a long time. He has been in CRI, he has been in other organizations. He is a professional who has developed an acumen in all these areas related to child safety, child care, child nutrition, good child rights, good health, education. And he's still working in the sector. He's an expert on this. So we are going to hear it from an field level expert and policy level expert like Mr. Shotto Gopal De. I welcome all the participants. I welcome Ms. Sucharita Bordhon, UNICEF communication specialist in the UNICEF field office in West Bengal. Again, we have worked together in various projects, so we know her commitment. And Professor Umashankar Pandey, who has been spearheading this project as the project director. So with this set of people having full commitment, knowledge, acumen, I think the participants will be able to be enriched and to be exposed, familiarized to this area's domain knowledge. I'll not take any more time. I thank also and I appreciate, I welcome all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Snyasi sir, for your very kind words. I now have the pleasure of introducing the spirit behind the show, somebody who's conceived the entire program and made sure that it has hit the ground in the present form. My pleasure to introduce Ms. Sucharita Bardhan, the communication specialist at the UNICEF Kolkata field office. Before I hand it over to our honorable chairperson, I will ask Sucharita ma'am to kindly introduce the topic of the day. To introduce I think you're muted.
Okay, yes.
Yeah.
Sorry for that. Thank you very much for introducing the webinar session today. Dr. Umashankar Pandey and Mr. Snehashi Shur, whom we popularly call as USP and Snehashi Da, respectively. And I'd like to stick to that as well because it makes us more comfortable. And the purpose of today's discussion is to be able to interact freely. I have the privilege and honor of having with us the chairperson of the West Bengal Commission for Protection of Child Rights, Ananya Chakraborti. I don't need to introduce her more than Snehashi already has because they have been working together for many years. I have known Ananya from a long time before also. And I have seen her in her heydays, which continue. Her heydays, Ananya's heydays continue for a long span, as we all know. She's so active and she is so, she kind of passes on the motivation and enthusiasm she has in the issues that she addresses. Quite rightly, she has been addressed as a social activist, having worked in media, in films, as a professor, and now as a chairperson of one of the most important commissions, and more for us as UNICEF, because we know, as you know, UNICEF is mandated to work for children and the rights of children. I will also want to talk about Mr. Gopal, whom I have known from many years before, and we have got reconnected once again. Shotoda is, again, it is good to be able to call him Shotoda here. Shotoda has been working for decades on and for children. He has also been an activist of sorts, having addressed various issues on children, particularly that of child protection. And UNICEF is very privileged to have this entire panel because for UNICEF, children's rights are core to our commitment. Shotoda currently heads Vikramshila's advocacy, HR, and child protection. And he has been also a very known name in media, which is also why we would want to hear from him about how issues such as these on children's rights are addressed in media and what is the media advocacy that is done around that. As you know, for UNICEF, the core mandate is the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, which is the core document for us. And in that, we have 4 guiding principles, which I'm sure they will refer to later. But I'd just like to mention that. And they are the rights to survival, to growth and development, to protection, and to participation. And one of the issues that we would like to talk about today is to do with the right to protection. And in that right to protection, as we know, that every child has the right to feel safe and secured, has the right to be in free and safe spaces, and have a happy and safe childhood, so that itself contributes to a well-being which extends well into the adulthood as well. Violence in many forms is a very serious issue, and we have been all working across the sectors, both across various development partners, as well as other stakeholders, most importantly as support to the government. We have with us the entire civil society partners, alliances, networks. We have even the corporates and foundations working on it. Apart from media, you would have known that media has been working also very seriously on various issues on children's rights, including children's protection, of which violence forms a core issue. But we also want to see how best to represent those spaces that we want to kind of rightfully address children's rights. Ending violence against children is a very core commitment in UNICEF. There is a global campaign that we have initiated for almost more than 5 years now as a focus to try and bring to the core of people's attention the issue around violence and the various forms of violence, of which there are interpersonal violence as well as violence that are institutional. We will probably at a subsequent time, we would want to address all the issues. Today, we have for you one of the ways in which interpersonal violence is meted out, and that is to do with cyberbullying and the challenge that children, adolescents, young people are facing regarding online safety. Unfortunately, with the pandemic, as we all know, that there is an increase in the virtual space, there is increase in digital interaction, and even for our children who have been using or shifting to digital and virtual spaces, even for their classes and school teaching, are kind of prone to a lot of risks on the online platform, as well as there has been a growing interest of using the mobile phone to get connected through internet networks, which also poses a potential risk in terms of children's safety online. I will not extend my words here because we would like to hear from the people who work around it. So the most important topics today, in contemporary times, is about the issue of cyberbullying, which we are trying to find various ways to work around. And with Ananya as chairperson in the SCPCR in West Bengal, we have already initiated work, and I would really like to hear from Ananya some of the other areas that she has already started work on, which Sneha already mentioned to you about regarding cyberbullying and online safety. And we have a lot of our path and the journey that we're undertaking together in the coming days, which I'm sure she will talk to you about also. And Shotada, from you also, we would like to hear about the various issues that you have been working on, because you have been a child rights advocate of sorts, the issues around the cyberbullying and online safety as an area on child protection. Thank you. We'd like to hear from this very distinguished panel of speakers whom we don't usually get, but they have specially come to attend this webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Sucharita Vardhan ma'am, for your wonderful elucidation of the topic and the speakers. It's my proud privilege to introduce Professor Ananya Chakraborti, Ananya Di to many of us. She is the chairperson of the West Bengal Commission for the Protection of Child Rights. And many of you would remember she first came into prominence in 1992. There was an incident at the Rabindra Sarovar metro station where she prevented a case of attempted kidnapping all alone. And this inspired the novel Dohon, which was later made into an award-winning film by eminent filmmaker Rituparno Ghosh. So that's when, Ananya came into a national limelight. She's been in the print media and the television media for over 20 years. She's worked with leading newspaper houses and television channels in Kolkata and New Delhi, and she's an award-winning documentary filmmaker, a gender rights activist, and an academician with specialization in foregrounding the marginal and excluded voices of society. She's had a long association with Mahashweta Devi in many of her works, and during many of her interactions, we heard so much of Mahashweta Devi from Ananya Di. Her body of work comprises columns, television programs, and documentaries, and it revolves entirely around the rights of women and children. She's worked extensively on trafficking in South Asia, and in recognition of her work, she was felicitated by the Department of Women's Studies, Calcutta University in 2001. Her documentaries are critically acclaimed and have been shown around in festivals around the world, including the United Nations. She's a former vice president of, as Sneha said, of International Association of Women in Radio and Television. That's the oldest international organization of media women in the world, which has ECOSOC status at the United Nations. She's also a member of the Network of Women in Media India, and before joining the commission, she was an assistant professor at St. Xavier's College in the Department of Mass Communication and Videography, and I've had occasion to meet her there since 2006 onwards. She's an alumnus of Jadavpur University, and she's done her MA in Comparative Literature. She was also awarded a gold medal for a special paper, Impact of the West on Modern Bengali Literature. There is so much that I have to talk about Ananya, but she is hard pressed for time, and all of us are waiting to listen to her. So Ananya, the stage is all yours.
Thank you so much, all of you. I'm really overwhelmed by everything that you've said. I've known Snehashishta for such a long time, and Snehashishta is always Dada. And USP, I would always turn to Uma Shankar for any help that I would need, because he knows he's a problem solver in many ways. And Shuttlebabu, of course, I came to know since I joined this commission 4 years ago. I'm not the first chairperson. I'm the second, in fact, the third chairperson. The first chairperson stayed on for only a few months, and then there was Ashokendra Sengupta, and then I joined here. And of course, Sucharita, who I have known for a long time, at the time when she was working in Rupkala Kendra. And now, of course, I've come to know her, reconnected her once again through UNICEF. And we have been working on a lot of things together. We have been on a lot of projects together, doing a lot of projects together. So today's topic, cyberbullying, it's an extremely relevant and current issue. 2 years ago, exactly 2 years ago, we had done an international conference on cybercrime, revolving around children, online sexual exploitation of children, in collaboration with International Justice Mission, where delegates, police and government officials from around 20 countries, more than 20 countries had come to attend the conference. It was a 2-day conference, and at that time, many people asked me that, why are you doing this? Because we don't have this problem. So I said, no, we don't know whether we have this problem, because cyberbullying, cybercrime is an invisible crime. You don't know whether it's happening, how, and you don't know when it will hit you. And as the trend goes, 2 years ago, I said that the cyber world is very soon going to be a very big part of our lives. Of course, none of us knew that we would have this pandemic, and that all of us would be pushed into in a very big way into the cyber world, that we would all be only communicating through the net, like this one. We are having a webinar. Earlier, we never had these webinars. We always had face-to-face interactions. So there are two sides to this. One is that in this virtual world, you can connect with anyone, anywhere in the world. On the other hand, anywhere in the world has access to you and can use your images and exploit it in ways which you may not be even aware of. We have got a report that since the pandemic, there has been a 50% rise, over 50% rise of the usage of internet throughout the world, throughout India especially. There has been an increase of 50% of internet. All children from the privileged classes, from private schools, are doing online classes. Even the government, in the state governments, like in West Bengal, they are giving away the tabs and the smartphones or Android phones to their students to start doing online classes. Otherwise, they are falling behind. Madrasas in West Bengal have already done it a few months ago. They had started giving away specially designed tabs with which they would do online classes. And this has become a necessity. However, because of this use of the internet space, we are also trading into unknown territories. We could be clicking into a link which, without realizing that we are falling into a trap. There are so many attractive links out there. And when children do these classes, even after the class is over, often the children continue with the classes. They continue with the chat. They continue to chat with each other. And then without realizing it, they often get into territories which are not known to them, but which might seem tempting, and then they might get into trouble. We know that in
in online classes, there have been many instances where suddenly someone had hacked in it and gone into a group and started showing pornographic images to them. There are many issues that have happened because of the lockdown and because of the extreme poverty that people have got into, and they have been forced to allow cybercrime in many cases. They have had no option but to allow cyber thieves, cyber hackers, or cyber criminals to use their children in very unethical ways. So in the commission, from April, in May, of course, schools were closed. They opened in June, around 15th June. From June to September, in those 3 months, we received 15 cases of cybercrime from children. They were either cases of cyberbullying, or there were cases of hacking, or using their images, fake, creating fake images, and so on. And they're mainly, some of them are in Kolkata, but we've also received complaints from Dakshin Dinajpur, Krishnanagar, and also other parts of India like Kuch Bihar and some other places, which we these are confidential information, so of course we cannot share it. But the important thing is that is exactly what is happening. That because of this overuse of internet, there is a lot of cybercrime that is happening. We have received only 15. And I can say with a lot of confidence that there are many, many more which are not being reported. There could be cases where it is happening, but they themselves are not aware that their images are being used. Because as we all know, that we only get to access 4% of the internet. 96% of the internet is actually dark web, or the deep web, where we don't have access to. And this is where all the pornography is shown. This is where the cyber crime actually happens, which normal people, people who are using internet for normal purposes, they don't have access to. They may not even know how to get into it. But that is the place where all the business happens. That is where all the money is. That you use images of children or people, or men, women, whatever, and you sell it into the dark web. And the dark web, there's a huge amount of money that is going around in the dark web by selling these images. So how do we save ourselves? How is it that we can somehow prevent these crimes from happening, prevent getting exploited? So we had created a booklet called Stay Safe Online, which we have been giving out to children all over, which I would like to share with you. I'm not very, yeah, okay, thank you. Thank you, Umashankar. So this is the booklet that we had created. And so this, even though this is meant for children, but I can tell you that this is actually useful for everyone. Everyone should know exactly what the risks are. So the importance of staying alert on the internet. Now, technology is a part of our lives and it brings many opportunities, but it also brings great risks, and everyone must know what the risks are. So every time you use the internet, you leave your footprint. Each time that we use the internet, we leave a footprint, and this can never be erased. This is something we must understand, that when we share personal information on Facebook or Instagram or anywhere, that intimate information or any information is remains ingrained in the internet forever. It can never ever be erased. So we have to be very careful on what we share on the net. So once your information gets online, it can last forever. So are you sure that you would like to share a very personal, very intimate photograph of yours, or any information about yourself on the net? Because anyone in the net, in the internet world, who knows how to hack can access that information. So we have to be very, very careful. Whether you are a child or whether you're an adult, be careful. Then there are many traps to exploit you. And bad people, they start by winning your trust. So they start by offering you something, that if you click on something, you will get this. Or they start by a flattery, or through some sexualized game, which could be mildly sexual, and you don't even realize it before you have actually gone somewhere, taken a few steps into it. And anyone who is caught in a trap could be exploited in many ways. So there could be any kind of exploitation, and the person would start controlling your life. They could, the person could actually blackmail you for money. The person could blackmail you for any other, to continue a relationship, that you have to send me more photographs, otherwise I'll put the ones that I have on YouTube or on the net. So, and therefore gradually the person will get complete control over you, whether you are a child or whether you are an adult. Now, we have to remember that children do it without realizing it, but even adults do it without realizing it. So it's not a problem that is confined to only children. But with children, we have to be extra careful because they are young, they are less experienced, and they are less aware about these things. And it's easier to exploit them. So, and your identity can be stolen. And with your stolen identity, someone can steal money from your accounts. They can smuggle drugs or people with your account. And then you will get into trouble. Without realizing it, you will get into trouble. You can even be jailed for that. And of course, the main topic of today is bullying and trolling, and repeatedly provoking someone online. You make a comment, and then you suddenly find 20 people have trolled you, have said something very nasty about you, or they're bullying you online. It could be somebody you know, it could be somebody you don't know. And it can actually lead to such a situation where a child or an adult might want to take his or her own life. The bullying or trolling could take on such proportions. So bad people can trick you by using a fake identity. We know about this, that by fake identity, someone can pretend to be a very beautiful woman and use that identity. And you without realizing it, you can change your sex. You can choose whatever sex you want, and just take anybody's photograph and start a Facebook page or an Instagram page. And then without realizing it, somebody might actually exploit you when you don't know who you are conversing with or befriending. So there are people who can hack your device distantly, secretly, and they will start controlling your device. So before clicking into any link, it is very, very important to know what you are clicking. Don't click into something which you might get a mail or a WhatsApp or whatever which says that you click into this link and you won so much money. You have won so many gifts. You won a round the world trip ticket, and just click on this link to get your award. The moment you click on that link, your device gets hacked. So we have to be very careful on what we are clicking on. So once we know that once we are clear about the typical traps, then we will know how to protect ourselves. We know how to be alert and stay safe and protect ourselves. So the important thing is to not fall for tricks and to secure yourself and help others to be safe. So you have to lock your privacy, use your privacy settings very wisely on your Facebook page, especially on your Facebook page. Then you must share less. Your posts reveal more than you think possible. You know, if somebody goes through your Facebook page, if your page is a public page, and if somebody goes through your Facebook page, then just by going through 10 of your posts, they will know a lot of things about you. So now, do you want to really reveal all those things about you? It's between you and your friends. Why should you reveal it to an outsider, to somebody who doesn't know you or who you don't know? So share less. It's very important to share less. And everyone is not a friend. So be very careful on who you are adding as a friend. I get so many friends requests every day. And the moment I get a request, I usually go to the profile of the person. About, there's a section called about the person. And I check the profile. I get so many requests where the profile is actually locked. And I always immediately delete that friend request. And then I go through the list, and then I go through the profile and the posts, some of the posts, and I know whether I want to be a friend with that person, or I would like to accept friend requests from that person. We have to be very careful who we accept friend requests from, because the moment the person becomes your friend, the person can access everything on your Facebook profile, on your Facebook page. And be very careful about your password. Never, ever share your password with anybody. And it is also important to change your password every now and then. So we have to make sure that your connection and website is secure. This is a secure website. Only these should be open. Don't open every website, even if it promises you the sky. And it's also important to learn to spot fake sites. We have this habit, even I have this habit often, of just sharing things without realizing it. On anything that I get on WhatsApp or something which is on Facebook. Before sharing anything, it's very, very important to know the source and to verify it, whether it is, it is a fact. Yeah, as I said, that this is, you won so much of money. Just click on this. Never click on those things. Why should anybody give you so much money? Just think about it. The person, if I had so much of money, I would rather keep it for myself. Why should I send a link to somebody and give it to that person? And don't be a troll yourself. While you would not like to be trolled, you should not also troll anyone. And make sure that the internet is safe for others. And in case you have a problem, you must report cybercrime in the case of trouble. It's very, very important to report cybercrime. Report it to your nearest police station. If it's happening with you, if it is happening with your child, it's very, very important to report cybercrimes and should encourage people to report cybercrime. Don't allow people, people often have this thing that, no, I don't want to get into police. I don't want to get into any jhamela with the police. I'm sure, no one will know that this has happened. No, but people will know. If your photograph has been used and it is being used in an exploitative manner, and just because it is not physically visible, doesn't mean that it is not being used in the dark web. So it's very important to report the crime to the police very quickly. And also, it is very important to encourage others to report to the police. You should, whenever anybody says, no, I will not report, I hope no one will see it. Hoping doesn't help. Cybercrime is something where if you get one, if there is one share, this one share gets into 1,000 shares in no time. It goes viral in no time, especially sexual images. So these are the different ways you can test yourself to know whether you are cyber safe or not. So this is the presentation. This is the booklet that we have. It is downloadable, and also all our material is copylefted. So this booklet we made over a year ago. This was maybe a year and a half ago. At that time, we didn't know that we will have the pandemic. Like 2 years ago, when we had that confidence, we did not know we will have this pandemic and that we will be using so much of internet. But it's a way of looking forward. That what happens if something like this happens? What happens if actually we do use a lot of the internet and we get into, things get into trouble? So when Sucharita discussed with me a few months ago that we would like to do something on cybercrime, I immediately jumped for it because it is a very, very current issue. We are getting so many complaints in the commission. But how to go about it? So we had, after discussing with Sucharita, we had a stakeholders meeting where, apart from others, from some NGOs, we had a very important lawyer, Bibhash Chatterjee, who is the PP appointed by the state to handle all cases of cybercrime. So he came and he spoke to us at length, and he gave many suggestions. Most of it are there in this booklet, but he told us many things on how to handle cybercrime, how to counter it, how to address it. And the very important thing that he mentioned is that it must be reported immediately, because the more you delay it, the more an image will go viral. The more times it will be shared. So the more you delay it, the problem gets multiplied. It must be reported immediately. And once it is reported, then it can be addressed. It should be addressed immediately, and then it can be countered. Otherwise, it cannot be countered. I would just like to mention that we are in the process of creating a music video against cybercrime. This is for children. And this music video has been, this song has been written by Chondrit, and the music has been set by Upal, and it has been sung by Chondril, Upal, Shomlata, and 2 child artists. It's a wonderful song, very catchy, and we wanted it to be catchy because we know that children don't like it when you sermonize. They would turn away. So we wanted it to be very catchy. So it's like a rap song. But it tells you all the important things about cybercrime, about cyberbullying and cybercrime. And we are shooting it. We have completed a lot of the shoot. We have only a little bit of shoot left, and it should be ready by the end of this month. Then we will release it with UNICEF. So this is all that I had to say. Now, if you have any questions or any comments, thank you.
Thank you so much, Ananya, for this brilliant presentation. And we've had participants from all over the country for this, and right across the country. So this is a national webinar in the real sense of the term. We have, for example, Professor Ashwin Kumar, who's a professor at the Department of Journalism and Mass Communication from Gujarat Vidyapeeth, with all his students and his colleagues, Dr. Punita Harne, and then we have so many colleagues from all over the country, and there have been a number of messages on screen. I'll read them out later on, but right now there are just 2 or 3 questions. I know you have so many other things very, very important things that you have to handle right now. So before you leave, there are just 1 or 2 questions I would address to you before we go to our other speakers. So I'm just reading from what has been posted on the screen. So there's one question by Dr. Monica Verma. She's asking whether cyberbullying can be, what could be the extension in cyber law at national level to curb this posting and sharing of and buying information. So what can be done on that? And then there's one by Kathakali Datta. She's from Kalinga Institute of Technology. She's asking, do you think students should be educated on cyber laws in school and the precautions that need to be taken? Then there's one by Anindita Bose. She says that, it leads to hampering the mental peace. So what do you suggest? How do people break away from, the online time they spend? So I know that's too much at the same time.
No. It's actually, they're actually related. The second question is an answer to the first question, that how do we prevent it? We can only prevent it through education, through spread of education. And I think it's a wonderful idea to include cyber safety in the school syllabus. Because now that we are moving, especially in the new education policy, we are moving more and more towards the internet, towards online education. So therefore, it has become imperative, I would say, to include educating the students how to stay safe online, along with online education. You cannot have online education and then have children falling into traps and then teach them about online safety. Online safety must come first. The first step should be to teach them about online safety, how to remain safe, what not to do, and how to protect yourself. That is very important. And once you do that, it becomes far more simple and far more difficult for the hacker. And the second thing is about the mental harassment. Of course, it's a lot of trauma. People commit suicides because they don't know what to do. They don't know how to handle it. On the one hand, they have got into an intimate relationship with somebody, and without realizing it, sometimes they don't know that they are being photographed. Sometimes they do know it, but they trust blindly the partner. And then after, maybe they might break up, or it might have been done with a ulterior motive. They suddenly find that their intimate moments are on the net, and everyone is watching it. So they don't know how to handle it. They don't know how to. If you remember the film Devdi, Kalki Koyalchin's part, that the intimate relationship that she got into, she knew that she was being photographed, but she had no idea that it would be put up on the internet. So she was ostracized by everybody. And this is what happens. When something like this happens, we feel we get ostracized by our own people. We are not accepted by our own people. We don't know who to turn to, and we often kill ourselves. We don't know how to handle it. Or, we might lose our mental sanity completely because this is the virtual world. Where something goes up on that virtual world, it cannot be taken down. We have to understand that. So this education is very, very important. That be very careful what you put up on the net. Be very, very careful about the personal information that you put out on the net. Because now it is shareable by everyone.
I think we've lost the link with her for some reason. It could be a network problem. So we're waiting for her to return. Just another piece of information that we'll have Professor Ananya Chakraborti again on 21st of December for another session, which is on reporting on children, legal and ethical issues, consent and participation. So Monday, 21st December, again, we'll have Professor Ananya Chakraborti with her, with us for this webinar. And we have another session on 15th December as well. So we are trying to get her back I guess she was at the end of her speech anyway. So if we can't get her back, we can proceed with the remainder of our. So do any of the other panelists have to say anything on the first presentation, or any observations, any comments before we go to the next speaker? So thank you. Yeah. So I think we'll end our first speakers session, and we'll go to the second one. And again, thank you very much to all the participants from all over the country. And there have been many comments and questions. We'll take those questions. We have Anita Parihar's question. We have Devina Sarvate. She's a research scholar at the University of Hyderabad. And we have Gurmukh Singh Baba, who's a known bureaucrat. We have Shomo Datto, Shottobroto Paul, and so many other people asking questions. We'll go to that and we'll see if Shuttlebabu can address that. So it's now my proud privilege to introduce Shuttlebabu in today's session. I've heard a lot about him. I've known his work so much, but probably this is the first time, thanks to the affordances of the technology, that we get to meet online. So Gopal is he's the head child protection, advocacy and HR at the Vikramshila Education Resource Society. He has more than 3 decades of experience in the field of child rights and child protection. He started his career in the media and then shifted to the development sectors. He was associated with the Lutheran World Service India from 1987 to 1990, with Ramakrishna Mission Lok Shikha Parishad from 1990 to 1992, CRY, Child Rights and Youth from 1992 to 2016. That was a almost a 24-year association. So we associate him with CRY normally. So he's superannuated from CRY as the head of programs West Bengal, and then he is now with the Vikramshila Education Resource Society, which is a national level organization, and he's, as I said, the head child protection, advocacy and HR since 2016. He is a regular contributor in several print media outlets on child rights, and he's a participant on many TV talk shows on child rights and child protection as well. He's the recipient of the Shishu Shri Award of 2018, and he also got a certificate of special mention and Shishu Shri 2020. He got a best article in Bengali print media on the Child Rights Award given away by the West Bengal Commission for Protection of Child Rights by the government of West Bengal. He's presented a number of papers in several national and international seminars and conclaves, and he's also a motivational talker. He's a guest faculty at a number of institutes. So thank you so much, sir, for your presence, and looking forward to your presentation. You're muted, sir.
Is it okay?
Yeah, absolutely okay, sir.
Going out of the context or initiating my deliberation, I'm in honor for a kind of a webinar which was in my mind for decades, and I thank UNICEF
Your voice is cracking, sir. For the moment, if you can just switch off the video and then begin, then probably we'll...
Shuttlebabu, your voice, you'll have to check it because there's a network. Yes, I think that will be better if you can. Thank you.
Yeah. So I'm seeing Snehasis Da in this forum, as he is the president of Calcutta Press Club. See, I need to tell that Snehasis that one point of time I consider him as my guru, because during my CRY tenure, I was one of the leading spokesperson of CRY. CRY organized a spokesperson training where Snehasis undertook this training as one of the key resource person and faculty. So I learned a lot from him. Seeing him in this platform and sharing the platform beside him is indeed my honor. So I need to know, and I'll be with this initiative whenever and wherever I am being required. See, I will go through a small presentation, but that's not all. But in the current context, before starting this presentation, I would like to state that, see, earlier during my tenure of child right, and the way internet, data, and a smartphone being discovered, from the very beginning of this, we have been hearing that don't allow children to be with the internet and with the smartphone. But now the concept being changed. Considering the new normal situation, we just cannot say no to the smartphone. Then what is the alternative? And in American, Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorder, where is a Society for American Psychiatry, they have already declared internet use disorder as a mental illness. Under this, and they are saying that and they compared this disease with several other dependence diseases as good as drug addict, and they are saying that all internet user, though who cannot live away and from the smartphone, has their preoccupation, withdrawal symptom, and tolerance on this. Under this situation, can we say no to smartphone, internet device, computer, desktop, laptop, tablet? As a child right activist, I would say no. We have to use it. Then what is the alternative? The alternative is very simple. Age-appropriate communication to each and everyone. Maybe that is not being written in any of the books, but that's my experiential learning, and I've experimented this. Age-appropriate communication and age-appropriate uses of the internet as well as smartphone facilities, and that manual has to be developed. Age-appropriate. See, I will recollect my personal experience. My son, the only son, is a mechanical engineer and he is with Tata. But in class 8, when he asked for a desktop, and it was indeed required for that point of time, what I did, I have made an inventory of several banned sites, pornographic site. On the basis of some research, I know the adolescent youngster would go to this site, and I've shared this with my son. Honestly, I have shared this with my son, and I told him, look, I know you will be going to these sites. In our days, internet was not there, but we were more or less in the same generation. But in our days, there were several other harmful publications being sold here and there, nooks and corners. And our legislation being, passed in the Indian Parliament, Prevention of Harmful Publication Act. So with the times, the modus operandi being changed. So I have given it to my son, and I told, look, don't go to this website. And there are ways and means of looking at things that what you are using, what you are not using. If you are very frank and open to your child, to your words, and as a guardian, I think you need to keep a close eye, but not to keep a close eye like a police, close eye like a friend. So that age appropriate communication has to be done. Otherwise, at this era, we have to step into several harmful situations. So I'm going to the slide, and then before going to this, we need to understand what is child protection, because cyberbullying is to be looked at the greater ambit of child protection. When we are talking about child, for that matter, it is a concern of human right also when it is related to adult. And child protection, as being enshrined in the United Nations Child Rights Convention 1989, which was being ratified by India in 1992, one of the Bible and most accepted legal instrument, international legal instrument. The child protection means protecting and preventing children from physical, emotional, or sexual abuse, violation, exploitation, and neglect. Child protection is one of the 4 major components, as it is right to development, right to survival, right to participation, and of course, right to protection, which is not being mentioned over. And we have to remember who is a child. According to UNCRC, and which is being ratified by Government of India, any human being below the age of 18 to be considered as child. Now coming to, I took you to child protection. Coming to cyberbullying, Anandadi has very rightly stated what is cyberbullying. I'm just reiterated. It is a kind of a harassment which is being done through internet, computer devices, laptop, smartphone, tablet, etc. And it is being done in different platforms where cyberbullying can take place, including social media, chat rooms, gaming platforms, or other social media, website where people can view and participate in the sharing of content, opinions, and information. And it involves various kind of, techniques, tricks, etc. Let me post you with different types of cyberbullying. Posting harmful and humiliating, remarks or comments about an individual online, publishing an embarrassing or nude, inappropriate photo or video, creating a fake, inappropriate web page about another individual, issuing online threats, provoking an individual to kill themselves or hurt someone else, triggering religious, racial, ethnic, political hate online by posting hate comments or videos, faking an identity online with an intention to deceive or extract information. An Indian context. See, India is still, whatever being happened, India is still to go many more miles, many more, furlong to be an appropriate internet user and to use the full potential of internet. It is nowhere in any percentage with globally, but in spite of that, the incidence of crime, the incidence of cyber crime is much more, as per NCRB, National Crime Record Bureau of India, is much more higher than the country using internet more than India. With the increasing availability of data service and social media presence, cyberbullying in India has witnessed a sudden rise, as I have told. I'm just citing an example. My journalist fraternity is aware of this. In 2007, a student in Kerala jumped up from the highest point of her college building. I wrote a story, I've developed a story for one of the leading Delhi, vernacular Delhi, and analysis of her Facebook profile showed her displeasure over the inappropriate comments made by one of her peers. Police suspect that cyberbullying provoked her to take this extreme step. I have intentionally not mentioned the name of that student because it is prohibited as per the provision of the law. Similarly, in February 2017, a student-led online political campaign fell prey to cyberbullying, where a 20-year-old student from a women's college of Delhi was trolled and abused extensively on social media platforms. Ananya has spoken at length about troll. Now we need to understand these are all happening, and just 1 or 1.5 years back, I think Blue Whale game, which was started in the Western countries, even arrived in our city of Calcutta. There were 1 or 2 victims we have witnessed, and I was one of the panel talker in one of the leading television channel in this respect. We also need to understand the anti-cyberbullying laws in India. And the main binding law is the Information Technology Act. And these are certain provisions. I will leave these slides to you so that all participants can have the access of this. But these are certain laws. I think as a practitioner, as a student, as a journalist, we need to know this, because many of us, and this Information Technology Act is a less practiced act of our country. See, law, legislation, and the rules are indeed required, but they are not sacrosanct. Law, if we follow, law need not to be violated, but in every step of our life, law need to be interpreted in every step of our life. They are interpreted according to the situation. That's what I have learned from one of another guru, Altamas Kabir, who was the Chief Justice of Supreme Court. Now, how to prevent? We are talking about all these things, but how to prevent? I am such a person where I have started my mobile phone use in 2001, and the mobile, I think, started in Calcutta when the fast mobile delivery, if I am not wrong, Snehasida can correct me, when Mr. Jyoti Basu, the former chief minister, had a talk with Balaram Jakar in 1996. That was the first interaction in the state of in the city of Calcutta, and I have started my mobile use in 2001, which at that point of time Android phone was not there. It was a Motorola, and I've started using my smartphone in 2012. All these years I was using non-smartphone, but believe me, being a student of Bengali medium and product of a Bengali medium school, not formally trained in cyber, internet and all, I am on the job. I have learned, and I am one of the tech savvy person and can know what to do, what not to do. Because my every day is a day of learning. Because I am open to learn. So please, whatever you don't know, please ask anyone and everyone, even the youngster. I would like to quote here, I'm going again little out of the context. Socrates in one point has told that I'm ignorant, but I'm the wisest man in the world because I know I am ignorant. So please discover your ignorance. Please discover your ignorance and fulfill your wisdom and learning and information through them who are aware of this. Just not depend on the Googles. Google is indeed required, but Google's information need to be interpreted and applied according to the context. Now, how to prevent? I prevent. Child is surrounded by various digital and online platforms. Cyberbullying has become omnipresent. As parents, guardians, caregiver, which I have told and I have been telling time and again, one must be aware of the apps and digital media platform that the child is using. When you are using app, please restrict yourself, because app is always requiring allow this app to access photo, allow this app to. So that science and grammar you need to understand. In all cybercrime, unit of the police headquarters, including Calcutta Police, they are just not preventing crime, cyber crime, and investigating cyber crime. They are also responsible for creating and generating awareness to prevent cyber crime. How many of us are aware of this? I do not know, but please contact them. Whoever is from, and that is for not for the city of Calcutta, for as it is a national conference, Dr. Pandey has stated. Please, the head of the educational institution, please contact them. They, free of cost, will organize this kind of awareness program. They will come to the education institution, and the current context through webinar, they will do it. And it's very information. I have attended so many. Now I'm acting as a resource person. But believe me, whatever expertise I have earned and gained is absolutely on the job. And reading, special care shall also to be given to warning signs of initial cyberbullying, thus looking out for a sudden and considerable increase or decrease in your child's uses of a mobile, laptop or tablet, and display emotional responses such as sadness, anger, happiness to activities on their device, hiding of the device screen when others are close by. So mix with your child as a friend and discuss anything and everything, including sex and sexuality, age appropriately. See, in whatever, even we are curious. We are curious from the very adolescent days and prior to days. We are curious about sex and sexuality. How many of us really discuss this very frankly with our kids? But this is to be discussed age appropriately. A child should know good touch and bad touch, confusing touch from very of her or his childhood, and where adult has a very significant role to play. And we have several communication material available globally and nationally. We need to access those. It is not essential to run here and there and to meet the counselor, though I am also a psychological counselor. It's not. Just access those and learn how to communicate with your children. If your child is having, if your adolescent boy is having headache, you can offer them any painkiller and all. But if your married boy or girl is discussing about the contraceptive, you are very resistant. No, this cannot be happen. See, basis of all relationship is friendship. But we turned as husband, wife, father and mother, not as a friend. And this is the crux of everything, age appropriate communications to anything and everything. There are very creative game in the smartphone, which is stimulating their very emotional self, not negative stimulation, positive stimulation. Ask your child and kids to observe them. If you see your child is being addicted of the mobile, so design a strategy for gradual decrease of internet use and mobile use, and guide them to see the acceptable these positive stimulating sites. Make them aware. If you observe these warning signs, as I have stated, you must converse with your child, record his or her online activities, report the incidents to the relevant authorities, and support your child through the journey of overcoming cyberbullying. There are several category crimes that target computer networks or devices. These types of crime include viruses and denial of service attacks, crime that use computer networks to advance other criminal activities. These types of crime include cyber stalking, phishing and fraud or identity theft. And always, as Ananya has stated, frequently change your password and design a very difficult password. Very difficult password. My name is Sotto. If I'm putting my name as Sotto, then I need not, as in one of the facet of my password, I need not to give S, alphabetical A, T, Y, A. Hypothetical example, I can write S, A could be at the rate, T, Y, again A could be at the rate. I can use 0 instead of O. These are simple thing I have learned. Ananya was talking about Bibhas Babu. I have attended one of his sessions. So these are certain tricks you can understand. Malware superstitiously downloaded to your computer might slow it down, prompt it to give you error message. Phishing attacks, meanwhile, keyloggers leave their own telltale signs like strategic icons or duplicating your message. Because in computer, one can access your device from any, and those apps are there. Any corner of the globe. You might think that the only form of cybercrime you have to worry about is hackers stealing your financial information. That's not true, but it may not be so simple. There are far more concerns than just basic financial ones. So it is an innovative area. The criminal, the culprits are in the research. They are in the research. And need to be well informed. Be informed first. And information lead you towards wisdom. Be informed first. Full service internet security. Not on security provides real time, and don't go for any pirating antiviruses. All virus protection has to be paid and original with the appropriate brand. And always keep your software updated. Absolutely, in your mobile device, in your laptop, tablet, whatever. And manage your social media settings. Go to the security setting, what you want to make public, what you want to accept by the friends, what by friends of friend, what is for your personal. That you need to know. And as Ananya has stated, don't accept a friendship from a person who has locked his or her profile, who is not putting the profile picture. Strengthen your home network. It is good idea to start with strong encryption password, well as virtual have spoken, protection against identity theft, up to date, and lock your profile picture. Up to date and major security breaches. Guard your mobile, not lock, guard your profile picture. Now, these are certain facets of, crime and prohibition of identity of child. This message, I know, ethical reporting and the role of media, there is a different session, but I will take you to just one or two slides because these are very much linked with this. Prohibition of identity of a child is absolutely unethical. It is being prohibited under the rule of the country. The Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Children Act 2015. Earlier it was 2000 and 2017. In 2000 Act it was section 21. Now it is section 74. No report in any newspaper, magazine or news sheet or visual media or any inquiry regarding a juvenile in conflict with law as well as children in need of care and protection disclose the name, address or school, any other particulars calculated to lead to the identification of the juvenile. And if it is violated, 2 lakhs of financial penalty and 5 years of imprisonment being prescribed. Even this same being reiterated earlier in the prohibition of identity of a child, section 83 of the Indian Penal Code enumerates that nothing is an offense which is done by a child above 7 years of age and under 12 years. The age of criminal responsibility is started from above 12 years. Children below the age of 7 years is deemed to be incapable of criminal offense as per section 82 of the Penal Code. That need to be understood by the journalist and who is the student. Now, in the adult and child binary, there is a significant role of the adult to perform. In the new normal context, digital connectivity and devices are essential and necessity. Can we say no towards the children? As I've started my presentation, that age-appropriate orientation about the devices and its uses, age-appropriate communication about anything and everything, whatever being asked by your words, and what and encourage them to ask each and every question. I can cite an example of my life. I was a student of class. I was hardly at that point of time, maybe 10 years. I used to stay at Jalpaiguri, one of the suburb area. And at the point of time, our annual examination used to over in the month of November. So after the annual exams is over, I was, roaming around with my mother in one of the afternoon. It was Jalpaiguri, and I have seen 2 dogs are mating on the road. I asked my mother what they are doing. My mother was not very highly educated. He read up to class 10, not even matriculate. Whatever she stated, I still recollect. Because I do not know that I will turn as from my journalism to a child right activist. But I think my first lesson of child right being taught by my mother when I was 10 years. She said, look, they are playing in Bengali. Look, they are playing the game of love. And the creation. এখনো মনে পড়ছে মা বলেছিল যে পৃথিবীটা তৈরি হয়েছে বিকজ সবাই এই ধরনের খেলা করে, everyone is playing this game of love. আমরা সবাই, when you will grow old you will try to understand, but এখন তুমি এই পর্যন্ত শোনো. Age appropriate communication. I can now, my mother is not there. I lost my mother when she was just 55 in 1988. in my just Lutheran World Service day, I still remember my mother was not wrong. Our child to be courageous enough to ask anything and everything. See how sad it is. We teach our child that what is your finger, what is your eye, where is your nose, but we never ask them to know the age-appropriate utility of the private organs, and they are being addressed as nickname. And how dangerous it is. We have every, curiosity, but we don't discuss. Still, we are educated, qualified, and literate. And be a friend. And be it cyberbullying, be it whatever, the entire child right is absolutely, is governed by the principles. There are 16 principles in the juvenile justice system. I've just cited these principles. Principles of dignity and oath. Principle of best interest. Positive measures. Principles of right to privacy, confidentiality. Principle of fresh start. That need to be understood by one and all. And in particular, the friends from media and journalism. Legal framework, as even Sucharita during her deliberation startup, spoken about UNCRC Article 6, no child shall be subjected to arbitrary or unlawful, interference. They have the right to be protected. And Article 40, I have told earlier. The role of media, I'm not going much. This will be discussed. This should also be discussed, but those legal provisions are there. See, this is a book published by UNICEF a couple of years back. UNICEF has several other publications. Kindly access this. Ask Sucharita to give a hard copy. This is available in the net. Go to the website of Child Online Protection. This is a very, it is published by UNICEF. Now, I have a reference in the Hullur is a magazine. It's a very beautiful magazine, child magazine, being published by State Commission for Protection of Child Rights, where I have written a frequently asked question about Protection of Children from Sexual Offences Act, and where some aspect of cyberbullying being mentioned. And the link is here. One can access this. Child online safety in India have shown media and child right. It is also a book published by UNICEF in 2005 with ISBN number. These are also accessible. Oh my God. Hello. I can't hear.
USP, you're muted.
Hello.
Can you hear me, Shuttlebabu?
Yeah, yes. Now this.
So we are ending the. So we are nearing the end of today's session.
Yeah.
If you can wind up, and we can have some of these.
This is the thing, and I have a request. Whenever these are all theoretical aspects, but practically, journalist has, as I've stated, that I have started my journey in the field of media and journalism. I'm still connected with this, one of my very choiced and liked, group. I have greater deal of respect to this fraternity. So they have significant role to play to highlight the flags of child rights. See, in our country, the budget allocation in the last session for children and child protection is only 3.24% of the total union budget, which is more or less is known to each and every journalist and would be journalist. I would request you to see when there is an incident, a journalist should cover this reactive story, should report this, it is required, but maintain all these ethical these things. but try to cover, many things. They may be peaceful in number, maybe drops of water into the ocean, but many positive stories of hope, rays of hopes are there all across the country. In my life, I know a village of our state where there is no a single child ever. There is not an incidence of child marriage. I know a red light area of Calcutta city. Maybe there is not a single number of second generation prostitution. Those could be highlighted through media, and those are indeed influencing factor. Our media fraternities are indeed the influencer entire ambit of policy influencing, advocacy, and raising voice for more allocation, just not slogan. That's all at the moment. I thank you for inviting me in this, thanks to Sucharita, Snehasisda, once again, Dr. Day, and all the participants all across the country. If you have question, I will try to address with my limited knowledge and information.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shuttlebabu Dey, for your brilliant presentation. And we've had a number of wonderful feedback from our colleagues all over the country. Very happy to report and very nice to see my friend Karlega Masayeva all the way from Almaty, Kazakhstan. And she has a very important question also.
My God.
So thank you, Karlega. You've always been very kind. There's a question from her I'll take. She says, according to the experts, explain the digital risks facing our children during COVID-19. Could you tell us about the situation in India? So the digital risk that children face during COVID-19. Sucharita ma'am, would you want to take that, or?
Maybe if Shuttlebabu can come first.
See, digital risk, as I have stated, everything has a very
during
dark side.
COVID-19, it's the COVID-19 aspect that she's concentrating, sir. A digital risk during COVID-19, the situation in India.
Risk is there, as I have. Absolutely. If you go to the data, even the day before yesterday, there were coverage where during the situation of pandemic, where incidence of suicide being increased to, I think, 35% more by both adult and child. So digital risk is absolutely, children are in within, they cannot see their friends, they do not have the opportunity to discuss with their peers. The other point of time, the risk is there. So if and within the peer, there are also motivators to use an influence to you go to the wrong site, go to do the wrong deeds. Under these circumstances, these risks are there, but there are several mechanisms to prevent this risk. With the support of UNICEF and government of West Bengal, again Vikramshila Education Resource Society is into a very noble initiative, very innovative initiative, which has recently government of West Bengal has received Scotch Award. Gold medal for this is home-based parenting and early childhood education. As you know, I'm just citing. As you know, all the ICDS centers are being closed because of pandemic. Now this home-based parenting, where through smartphone, although smartphone is not there with everyone, but with non-Android phone, with community radio, the message rhymes are being spread to the adult and the guardians, and guardians in turn in the home is being engaged with the children. Use this smartphone and mobile phone to have with the friends of the child. So risks are there, so that they can have discussion with with their peers, and they need to know, because we just cannot say no. Earlier, all the psychologists to say don't give a mobile to the child before the age of so and so. But I don't know, this is my personal opinion, I would say as a child right activist, give mobile, but from the very beginning, tell him, and a child is the most, they can learn good thing very easily. where adults are not playing their role. So risks are there, but the prevent risk is there also.
If I can also come in to add to what Shuttada just
And
mentioned.
Sudhanshu, if you
To our friend from Kazakhstan, thank you very much for that question. Yes, I think you've raised a very pertinent point that with the COVID-19, we've kind of seen an increased use of the digital space, many times because both for adults as well as children, both because we've been restricted in mobility and also because the schools have been closed. And a lot of the institutions, particularly the private schools, which are more for the affluent, this is for our friend from outside the country, but also for the a lot of the government aided schools, which you heard probably from our spokesperson, from our chairperson a little while ago. They had been given tabs so that children can learn from digital spaces. A lot of digital content, educational content was actually developed during this entire COVID times so that children can continue with their education. But what was not taken into consideration is the awareness of the potential risk that is associated with digital spaces as well. So we've had in the discussion that the chairperson referred to a kind of a stakeholder analysis of understanding what the digital risks are at the current moment. And we've heard from children as well, and we've heard from parents both living in remote villages as well as in the urban cities. So I remember one of the mothers from one of the villages saying that as guardians, we want our children to be safe, but we don't know how to ensure that their safety on a space which we are not oriented about. So you see, we have arrived to start using tools and platforms which we have not been oriented so far. And we've had to encourage our children to also use those spaces without understanding the entire risk about what they will face. And therefore, there is also another aspect which is very interesting, which I would want to share with you. This is from a child going to an English medium school in the heart of the city, saying that, yes, we are, of course, we've been using digital spaces. We are there on the internet. We have Facebook accounts. We are there on Instagram because these are the young people. And we know, I mean, what it is about. Until recently, when schools started using different digital spaces, they didn't realize that there were hackers and people who were bullying also getting onto those spaces. So actually, in real time, both academic institutions, students, as well as their parents were learning to be safe while also accessing spaces because it was a necessity. It became a necessity immediately, even before we were readied for it. But then again, she said that, you know, while we want to be safe, and we understand that parents want us to be safe, we don't want them to be prying into our spaces so often. So you see how, as parents, there has to be a bridge between how to ensure that their children are protected, which means that education on digital spaces, and if I can take some more time, USP, to also wind up, you know, or maybe you want to take a few more questions and then I'll come back. You want to do that?
I think we have handled most of the questions, and we can continue this discussion even on our next webinar. No? So I would ask you to continue, please.
Yes, so that would actually help. So one of the things that has been discussed at large from the beginning, by both the distinguished speakers, is the importance of online education. We are using a platform which we are still not there. We don't have adequate knowledge about, and it is time that we understand how to use it so that we are safe, we ensure our safety, and we ensure safety naturally of children who may need some kind of support in being safe. One important thing that Ananya mentioned is technology is part of our lives. And something that Shuttada also said, that earlier we would have said that please do not give these gadgets to your children. We cannot any longer say that. So we know that the opportunities are tremendous, but we also know that there are potential risks. Therefore, we have to understand What is it that we need to learn? What is it that we need to know? How is it that we need to extend this learning and information and knowledge to all users, including children, including teachers, including academic institutes, including parents, not just in the cities, but also in the villages, at least a basic way of understanding how to protect yourself, how to ensure that your child is safe. And secondly, if you feel that there is some risk, please know where to report immediately. And this is a big task and huge work that the Commission is starting to do, to find out what could be the first point of contact, whether it is a helpline, a dedicated helpline, or a focal point, and trying to disseminate that information widely so that it is available easily and accessible to everybody. Anybody who's feeling a threat, a perceived threat of a risk, needs to report immediately.
Absolutely.
Where to report. And that is extremely important. So definitely learning and educating ourselves, our children, our institutes, wherever these are happening, knowing where to report. And I think a few other people on the chat box, and I heard Ananya also mentioning about the issue of mental health. Yes, we've heard from children themselves breaking down actually, and it is very traumatic. While we leave these footprints in digital spaces, definitely we need to know what to share and whom to share it with. Many times, in a lot of the violence that is meted out to children, you may be knowing that sometimes there are known people who are also perpetrators, and we have to be therefore very careful about who we consider as friends with
Absolutely.
whom we share our information. So I think this opportunity of that the Press Club gave us today of organizing this very important session is a very contemporary and current issue. It is the need of the hour, and it is very important that all of us learn what responsibilities we have to perform, both as adults, and share it with our children, because children acquire knowledge and skills very easily. Many of us, as Shuttlebabu again mentioned, that we shouldn't shy back from learning, even from our younger generation. And our younger generation are so adept with the gadgets and with digital spaces. It is good to learn from them, but likewise, it is also good to share with them how we could better protect them. And that is very critical. Therefore, reporting at the first instance. And many times when we talk about crimes, we only talk about the ones that are reported. We don't because we cannot even understand the enormity of the issue because it doesn't get reported. And therefore, we think that it's time we come together, discuss this, deliberate about it in the public domain, have various stakeholders talk about it, and in subsequent times, we would like to bring in other people as well, very important stakeholders, the government, the IT cell, the cybercrime, the police who are responsible. And in West Bengal, I know there are colleagues I have who are working very closely.
Absolutely.
COVID-19 has put off a lot of things. There has been some delay, but we will come back to you with more information on some of the things that we are already working on the ground. With that, I'd like to end about the issue that we had on hand today, and over to USP for kind of taking us through to the concluding hours or minutes, the minutes of today's session. Thank you. Over.
Thank you so much, Suchrita Bardhan, ma'am. As always, there's so much clarity about what you had to say. Yeah, Mr. Gopal, you want to say something, sir?
Yeah, just would one or two things which I have not told during my deliberation is that because Suchrita has thrown light on it. See, in the event of any incidents and reporting, I think everyone should be aware of certain facilities and stakeholder which is very easy to access. And those stakeholders are, first is 1098 is a toll free number, child line 4/7. Then Child Welfare Committee, which is there in every district of our country. Then Juvenile Justice Board, which is there in every district of our state and country. It has to be Special Juvenile Police Unit as per the provision of Juvenile Justice Care and Protection Act, SCPCR, of course, State Child Protection, Commission for Protection of Child Right, and the chairperson as having the status of Minister of State, and they are a constitutional statute. Similarly, National Commission for Protection of Child Right, there are several protocol standard operating procedures on prevention of cyber, bullying, cyber safety. Those are available. Please access those and
Thank you again.
Thank
you again, sir, for your so very important inputs. Actually, we were supposed to end at 12:30, so we are already at 12:41. So we'll keep on adding to this information, and we have already shared the book that you spoke of. I must thank all my colleagues from all over the country who've so patiently joined us, and they've encouraged us in every manner. So Shubhangi Chaudhary, Nandini Chakraborti, Megha Mukherjee, Professor Anita Parihar, Devabha Mishra, Vibhor Gupta, Jagrup Singh Balra, he's a research scholar, Dr. Tanushri Mukherjee, Shabani Paul, Anupama Das, Professor Shamima Yasmin, Dr. Ashwin Kumar, Professor Ashwin Kumar, and his students and his colleagues, Dr. Punita Harne, as I said, they've joined from Ahmedabad, Gujarat Vidyapeeth. Then we have Yogesh Borate from Pune University. We have so many others, enriching us with all their comments and everything. Dr. Monica Verma, Srijita Chakraborti, Dr. Shirin Abbas, a very senior professional and a media person, and now an academician. Thank you so much for all your support. Shottobroto Paul, as I said, this is very, very nice. And we've added the book that Mr. Shottogopal they was talking about. So it's there on the files section just beside the chat box. It's called Child Safety Online, Global Challenges and Strategies, a technical report. So thank you, Mr. Shottogopal, again for letting us know about this particular document so that we could share it immediately. So just to tell you, that is how the team works, behind the scenes. So the moment you
really
said
appreciable, really appreciable.
The moment you said that, it was there on the our system. So it's there on the files. It will be there with them. The document shared by Ananya and the one you spoke of, and also your presentation, along with the YouTube link and the registration link for our next session. It will be made available very soon to all of you. On 15th December, we have a panel on practicing development journalism in the mainstream media, scope and challenges. We'll have the Director General of Indian Institute of Mass Communication, Professor Sanjay Dwivedi, addressing that. We'll have Professor Ujjwala Barve as one of the speakers, and we'll also have a distinguished journalist friend of ours, Mr. Shubhru Nyogi. He's an assistant editor at the Times of India, Kolkata. He'll be there on December 15th for the session. Before I end, I will before I hand it over to Snehashi Shur sir, I will take this opportunity to thank our webinar coordinator, Devayan Bhaduri, he's the IT coordinator, Devayan Bhaduri, the webinar coordinator, Shreya Dev, and our creatives coordinator, Mr. Bimalendu Shekhar Vajpayee. Everybody behind the scenes, you've been so helpful, you've been so encouraging. So for a formal vote of thanks, I hand it over to our Honorable President, Press Club, Kolkata, Mr. Snehashi Shur. It's muted, sir.
Sorry, this is the main problem, that you listen carefully and then you forget it. There's a new nomenclature that the problems that we face in the virtual meetings. Okay, yes, there is no formality of vote of thanks. This is something that Press Club Kolkata has not facilitated alone. It is the UNICEF West Bengal, and obviously for the committed outlook of our colleague Sucharita Bardhan. And yes, Press Club is, as the inaugural speaker, Professor K.G. Shure said, that Press Club Kolkata always has been trying to add some value to the professional ethics, professional domain knowledge, professional specialization knowledge, etc., etc. We are keen. There are certain things like, the theory and practice that we have come across, that what are to be known about cybercrime, especially with reference to children, and what to do. That's very important when it happens in our surrounding. We might have talked a lot, but we fail to immediately react that what to do next. The operative part has also been dealt in, and definitely the role of the media, always it will come. While reporting on children, the media has to be looking into it in a completely different platform. We have children in our families, in our neighborhood. So we have to see that knowingly or unknowingly, that child has gone into a problem. If I do it as a parent, as an uncle, as an elder brother, as a friend, colleague, facilitator, how would I have reacted, and how am I reacting as a journalist? This feeling has to be there. So reporting with a passion on children, reporting with a care for children is something behind us that we need to know and we need to practice. Thank you, Shotoda. Thank you, Sucharita. Thank you, USP. Shreya, Debayon, thank you. Along with them, I would like to mention Sanjali Ganguly also, along with Debanjan's IT team. She has also been very helpful to us. Yes, we want to. UNICEF is an international organization. Press Club Kolkata is the oldest press club in the entire Indian subcontinent. But we want to remain contemporary. We want to do it whatever best possible. Somewhere, somebody is responsible for making it happen. And our commitment to them and our commitment to the participants who are spending time. So there must be some value addition, and the value addition will with a takeaway that like the booklets, like the presentations, like the summaries, so that you have something at the end of the day to fall back, to retrieve, or whatever it is. We want to do it seriously. If you think any change is required, feel free. We are absolutely professional. Feel free. We are there to cater to your needs, customized needs. So feel free. And I think Dr. Pandey must have told you that all the attendees will be provided with a certificate, maybe an hour's time or maybe a couple of hours' time. And the next webinar has also been mentioned. We will only request that the facility is being created for you, for all of us. Please try to make use of it to broaden your horizon, to upgrade your knowledge base, to upgrade our skills. So that with that request, and thank you, Shotoda, we have been knowing each other for a long time. He's a friend to us, he's committed to this. And Pandey, Sucharita, I cannot enough thank them, because the kind of commitment, professionalism, they are doing it along with the team. I'm really obliged. Thank you very much. I'll invite you to the next and subsequent webinars also. They are created, the speakers are coming. If the participants don't come and don't come seriously, then what is the use for? But all these will also remain in the YouTube and other platforms, so that anybody who could not be present, because we are talking about, there's nothing called prime time. Everybody is busy otherwise, but it will remain in the digital domain. You can go and check it. Thank you very much. I also wish the entire the project a great success. Thank you very much.
So thank you again for your presence at the second webinar of this series. As already informed, the feedback link is there as a sticky link right at the top. So it's pinned at the top of the chat box. Make sure that you've submitted very carefully, because that's how the name will appear on your certificates. Thank you again for all the distinguished participants. I'll again take a few names: Iram Fatma Hussain, Gurmukh Singh Baba, Dr. Shirin Abbas, Fatma Roshni, Dr. Monica Verma, Kshama Kamdar, Srijita Chakraborti, Megha Mukherjee, Rupanjana Paul, everybody. Thank you so much again. Hope to see you again at our third, fourth, and subsequent webinars. As you know, our eyes and ears are always open, so we are there on WhatsApp or wherever. If there are any suggestions, any thing that you would want to hear or anything you would want us to do, please let us know. We'll make sure that we make it meaningful. And it's being really very encouraging that even in mid-December, after 9 months of continuous webinars, we are having about 150 distinguished, very active participants. Thank you again, everybody, including very senior colleagues like Professor Ashwin Kumar and others. Thank you, Sucharita ma'am, for all your support. Thank you, Snehashi sir. As I keep saying, he's our teacher. So we are very honored to share the stage with him. 96-98 Calcutta University Journalism batch. And he has always been the most popular teacher in the department. Thank you, Mr. Gopal for such an erudite and presentation, and all your inputs are so very important. We'll keep getting back to you. We'll request you to participate in all our future sessions, because your
Of course, I
will be very enriching. And if there is anything that needs to be shared or to be done regarding this, please feel free to tell us. And thank you again for your support. So with this, I end this webinar and hope to see you very soon on the 15th of December. That's a Tuesday, with a very distinguished panel. Thank you, everybody. Have a great time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.